It's like trying to win a car race.
Should be a good one.
And as you're driving, saying, hey, make it run better.
You could have a posse of waifus.
Starting off kind of strangely.
Slaying the land.
Welcome to the show.
This is insanity.
Taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week.
This info is pretty shocking.
Somebody's got to give an answer to this.
This is Augmented Reality.
You are watching my favorite channel.
I've not heard of them.
The Triple S League. Enjoy, guys.
Hey everybody, welcome to the midweek edition of the Augmented Reality Podcast, your source for news, leaks, and analysis of games in the gaming industry. Coming at you live on YouTube and Twitch, and archived almost anywhere you can find podcasts, and we're getting the audio versions up to the podcast channels a lot quicker than we used to. That's something we're doing. It's more of a priority for us, because we just want to reach out with this show to as many people as possible. And welcome to our first evening. It's late evening edition here in North America. We wanted to try this time to make listening a little bit easier for some of our listeners over in Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, and that, you know, way over in the east, in the magical land of somehow it's already tomorrow because it's Wednesday there. It's like Wednesday afternoon there, or it's late Tuesday night here. It's a magical mystery I will never comprehend called time zones. Hello, Trakiran, in the live chat. Hello to everybody else who's watching live. Not sure how much viewership we'll get live tonight, but for those of you listening after the fact on Wednesday, we welcome you here as well. And so, yeah, we're going to do an update of the midweek, all of the relevant gaming news of the midweek. Got some fun stories for you tonight. My name is Ash, and I'm here as always with Cybsidian and Moontag. How are you both doing this fine late night?
Yes, hello, good. I have a hot drink at the ready. And as we get going, don't forget to slam that like button. It likes it rough. It tells us and YouTube that you appreciate this content. And yeah, make sure you hit the link in the description below to subscribe to the Triple S podcasts to keep up to date with our streams.
And of course,
I've got lots of artwork in the progress, and I'll be posting updates to the Discord after the stream too.
Oh, awesome. That's great to hear, yes. So Moontag's our resident artist. She did our lovely avatars that you can see on screen right now. We've been posting little previews and things for our some of our sponsors on the Discord server. Join the Discord server if you haven't yet. It's a fun place. Cyb, haven't heard your voice.
Hello.
Haven't heard your voice yet. It's pretty. When I was a kid, I thought about, being a radio personality. I always thought it'd be fun to do one of those really late night programs for some odd reason. I don't know why. I
those,
thought
radio shows, right, where they like tell stories or like talk to people or like have those call-ins.
Oh yeah, Coast to Coast AM was mine, and actually the former host of that show, Art Bell, was the inspiration for the character I did in some of our videos, Vesper Tomlinson. It's heavily influenced by that. I actually thought about doing the Vesper Tomlinson persona for this late night podcast, but I don't know. People might not get it. By the way, yes, this is the live content channel for the Triple S League. We also have the Triple S League main channel where you can find all kinds of game guides, reviews, and other gaming news segments and a variety of things. We're doing some shuffling right now. Things are in a little bit of a state of flux, but we are dedicated to keep the content coming. Hello, Niv. And hello to anybody who is listening on Twitch as well. All right, let's get into it. So Cyb just sent me this story just as we were just about to go live. So I haven't even read this yet. So this will be a surprise, as much a surprise for me as it is for you. But Bethesda is... Okay, have you heard of that movie, Win a Date with Tad Hamilton? Well, now you could win a date with Todd Howard. Bethesda. Ooh. I know. Moontag's like, hold me back.
Those wavy locks.
I know, right? The man imagines entire worlds. All right. So Bethesda is auctioning a Starfield design date with Todd Howard. This is for a charity, and the prize package for this includes a game console. Niv is like, gag. A game console, some games, and a Starfield character. Now, this is what I'm most interested in. Let's see here. So Starfield is Bethesda's in the works sci-fi RPG. Yes, etc. So okay. So here's sort of a summary of it. Here it says Bethesda. What Twitter? No, go away. That's not what I wanted. I wasn't trying to click on you. We're delighted to provide the opportunity to design a character for Starfield to one lucky winner. What does that even mean? The opportunity to design a... I get it.
You get to design a character.
You get to design a
Starfield
character.
game.
Gotcha. I gotcha. I at first I thought it meant like they were turning you into a character in the game, like they did with Skyrim Granny.
You can get yourself turned into a character. You can do a character that you want or have an idea of. Like, as far as I know, it's kind of like whatever you want, right? So if you want to do yourself, you do yourself. If you and then I think there's going to be some, like, if you have a great voice, they may add you in. If you don't have a great voice, I kind of think they're going to hire an actor.
Probably.
I mean, like, you know, it's just one of those things that usually happens on that. So yeah, I think that's most likely the way that'll end up going. So.
The winner of this package will work with the award-winning team at Bethesda Game Studios, including executive producer Todd Howard, to create a character for their highly anticipated upcoming game, Starfield. Is it highly anticipated? I mean, it's...
I think it is. I mean, this is... I suspect that they'll probably sell a lot because, again, you know, I've given my reasons for why I think that they're going to be doing well with this game. It's just the fact that they've learned a lot of lessons and they have a lot more finances. They have a lot more team stuff rolling in. You know, I mentioned this with Blizzard last week, but it is absolutely mind-boggling to me how these big companies, these giant publishers, these game companies like EA and Activision, especially Activision, basically like 50% of their profits come from essentially like 10 people. It's not literally like 10 people, but it's like 10 core people and then some support staff around them is really where they get half of their multi-billion-dollar money pouring in every single year is from those people. Back a few years ago, during the expansion, during the Wrath of the Lich King expansion, this was at the height of WoW. It was the highest income, like, growth period for that company, and their entire future of their company relied on the future of that entire game, which was at that time the future of their company, was on the shoulders of basically three guys. Basically just three guys. Three guys were doing the planning for pretty much everything. Everybody else was sitting around. You know, some of their higher ups who no longer work there were you know, trying to work on new projects, fighting constant red tape from Activision, were being pulled from pointless, useless meeting where a lot of people were just, like, you know, self-congratulating themselves, like, nonstop. There was a guy who just, like, you know, he's in his mind reliving like constantly his glory days, just like over and over and over every single day. He was like just complete narcissist, and it's just like the people really doing the work were overworked, were small, and they weren't getting the support that they kept constantly asking for. And it's like this happens with so many companies, and with ZeniMax, really, like, again with them in this whole situation with Bethesda, it's like ZeniMax, this huge company, basically didn't do anything. Like they basically just made life difficult for all of the developers under them.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't doing any actual, like, stuff. And the minute that they actually took over the concept, the core concept of an actual game, they messed it up. The first one they did was the MMO, which they just destroyed. I mean, it was so bad. The Elder Scrolls at launch was so bad, was so garbage, just didn't work. I mean, you look up at any videos that were covering it at the time of release, and they're like, "This is the worst garbage ever." Like Angry Joe had this enormous rant on it. I stopped playing it. I swore off it. I still have such a bad taste in my mouth that I haven't even I haven't even looked at. I have never actively looked at anything covering that game. Like I've seen the trailers and stuff like that, at E3 and stuff. But I've never typed that into my computer. Like, hey, show me this, because it's just garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And this when you discover that, oh look, now that we're away from ZeniMax, what's going on there? And it turns out, things are way better at the studio.
Mm-hmm. So
life is just like everything is just running so much better, and they're moving into Microsoft just fine, and everybody at ZeniMax has now been basically paid off, and they've all left essentially. Like there's a handful of them that have rolled into Microsoft, but the vast majority of people were these like upper crust people getting paid more than $300,000 a year, that once they're gone, you have a meeting and you're like, so what did Joe do exactly? Like
so as far as
what did Joe Blow do? Like what was his responsibilities? And they're just sitting around going, well, we don't know. We can't find out what he was doing, but everything's running fine. So I mean, that backfires too. Like there's tons. There's one of my favorite stories is a guy who got fired quite rudely by his company manager, and like he was responsible for like updating this like critical core system, and he was like, okay, so he walks out, and then the company basically imploded, and they lost what was it? It was $150 million that burned in less than 2 weeks. It's like, that is some amazing, just like burning piles of money.
It pays to know what people do when they work for you. So anyway, so you feel that Starfield is going to be it's going to be better than what's come before.
Yeah. I think Starfield is going to be good. I don't know how good. I don't know how bad. Right now, like, again, just because of like everything that's happened in the last couple of releases for games, at this point I'm not excited for any games right now. And it's so sad to say that, because it's not that I'm not excited. Like I'm excited, but I'm like, yeah, it's probably going to be a complete colossal, like, just explosion of fire and brimstone.
That doesn't sound excited at all. That sounds pretty cynical.
I had in the back of my head, like, I think Starfield's going to be great. I don't know if it's going to be the game for me. I don't know if it's going to be the game for a lot of people out there. I think that it's going to hold true to what Todd's vision is, and there's probably going to be some pretty cool stuff in it. I don't know if that's actually going to be a good thing or not, because we still don't know like anything about the game other than a very small number of screenshots, and I have a general like idea of what he was going for just based off of a lot of interviews that he's talked about this concept before, and he's talked about it at some trade shows and stuff like that, and it's an idea that's been at the back of his head. How much of those ideas have now made it into the game versus like how many of them are being rectified and built in a way that's actually entertaining, I don't know. And I don't think we'll find out until probably like way down the line.
I have a theory that it has something to do with space.
Yeah, probably has something to do with space.
Just a thought. Jagos, welcome. And Jagos says it's time to move from AAA gaming to AA gaming. I resonate with what you said, Saib, about game releases, be feeling less excited for game releases. And lately I've been, we've been focusing on some different things, and I've been enjoying going to some older titles that look really good and playing those. And over the past couple of years, especially, there have been some fantastic indie titles, some fantastic titles from less than AAA studios. Greedfall comes to mind. Kingdom Come Deliverance comes to mind, although I don't exactly know what the budget was on that one. There's some fantastic games that are coming from smaller studios, and yeah, there's still a lot of good stuff out there for gamers. There's a lot of good stuff to be had. There's a lot of great games out there to be found and played. It's a question of how do you find them now, because they don't have the budgets, they don't have the marketing budgets, they don't have the hype, they don't go to the trade show, like they can't put on a big EA or Bethesda event like they used to do before everything got shut down. And I agree with that comment as well, Jagos, that the innovation honestly comes from the smaller developers. I agree with that, as I've said many times. The big studios that are pouring millions and millions and millions of dollars into these things, and the big publishers, they don't want to take massive risks, because if it goes bad, then they are out a huge amount of money. Smaller studios are more maneuverable, they're more flexible, they have the ability to, they have more ability to take some of those risks and come up with some of that innovative game development.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, but again, like we look at our next story that I think we'll cover here is the fact that Bloodlines 2 is, I mean, this isn't looking good with this whole thing here. And this is one of these things where, again, this morning we basically woke up and we're like, oh, what's going on today? Oh, all right. Oh, looks like
Bloodlines 2, bad news.
Yeah, serious bad news.
Here, let's pull up this headline here. So
at this point, I would not be surprised if this game ultimately ends up never shipping. I at this point, I think that is very likely that this game is never going to see the light of day, because I don't know how you go from hey, we're ready to release, we just need a little bit more polish a year ago, and delaying it a little bit, to now you've fired everybody who's working on the studio and you've delayed it indefinitely.
Yes, because this game has been plagued by development problems. It's people leaving the development studio, but now the entire studio that was developing this game, Hardsuit Labs, they've been removed from the project. I mean, that's no small potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
This is bad. This is very bad.
This is extremely bad, because again, at the absolute minimum, this means that something massively wrong has gone on, and it could be a money issue. It could be that the heads, and again, I don't even know how this is working. It could be that somebody decided, hey, I'm gonna just fire the people that are working on this, probably stiff them like the last couple months of pay, or maybe they're like final, like maybe they had a deal for like an extra maybe they had a deal where they were supposed to get like 30% of all the sales of the game, and then the person basically, again, and I wouldn't even know who that is at this point, because it's just gone off the rails so completely that the person's like, well, I'm just going to fire them, say that it was that they screwed up on some kind of part of the deal or something like that, and then we'll just we just won't have to pay them that, and then I'll just get another developer to come in and fix it for like a paltry sum, wrap it up and then ship it like this fall or something like that.
I mean,
that could be what's going on.
That doesn't bode well for it either, though. If they want
that doesn't,
studio for it,
that doesn't bode well for it at all. And to me, that sounds like potentially like you're just going to be drowning in lawsuits for the next like 50 years. Like, I really don't like. It's just, there's nothing in this story that is good or confirming to the series. All this does is reinforce the idea of this is currently a train wreck, and that just ultimately like this isn't good, and in any way, there's no way that this is a good sign in any case. And I think that ultimately we're looking at something really bad here. So
it's definitely not coming in 2021 as previously planned, as they put in their development update here, and they also announce here that like they say nice things about Hardsuit Labs, and thank you for your We'd like to take this opportunity to honor Hardsuit Labs for their efforts and thank them for their hard work on the project. The studio has done a tremendous job in laying the foundations for the game, and we hope that you, the community, will appreciate their contribution to Bloodlines 2. Kind of rings hollow when the entire studio's been canned from the project.
Yeah.
It's like, what's really going on there? We don't have any confirmation on why they did this.
Now, I've heard the same things that a lot of people are in the chat talking about the how the lore was just ran over by a train. And I do have to, as some of our longtime fans would know, that we've had an interview with Chris Avalon in the past, and I got to say that he was taken off the project fairly unfairly. And Chris Avalon has a vision for story. I mean, that is one thing you can say about him. The other thing that, again, I'm going to repeat because this bears repeating, the accusations made against him were recanted, and the person who complained admitted that basically she made them up. So, again, just because people tend to forget, and I want to make sure that this gets out there, because Chris was given the absolute garbage end of the stick on this, and people just immediately cut him off and said, "Oh, you're guilty," and then found out that turns out that this person was out for personal profit and gain, and thought that making up a story about somebody was the best way to do this.
Garbage.
Yeah. Garbage. So Chris Avalon, yes, I just want to reiterate, he was completely exonerated. He is also a master at storytelling, and if Chris has an idea for a story, I would say you go with it. And what we've seen is that on this project and on another project, when somebody else goes, I know what's going on here, and I'm gonna come in, and I'm gonna be the perfect person to take over this whole project, and I'm gonna make it so much better because I'm awesome. When you have somebody do that, the game absolutely turns into a train wreck.
Yeah.
Because when you're telling an advanced story that's deep, that's well connected, that has really deep lore, you have to be so careful. One mistake just ruins the entire thing. And I would say the best example of this is Anthem, because Anthem was a thing that Mark and I think Chris had a little bit of a hand in the early conceptual phase, and Mark did a bunch of writing for that. I think I'm saying his name right. I hope I'm not mixing it up with Matt or Mark. But anyway, you have these people who design the core concept of the universe, and then they get into writing, and then they get kicked off the project, and then somebody else gets brought in, and then they try and make sense of something that they don't even understand really, and they don't even have any experience on, and it's just a sudden train wreck of stupidity, and it's just an absolute mess. And I think I'm worried that that's what's going to happen here. I'm worried that where they were going with the story, the first concept of it was hey, they're doing this thing, and it was great. They brought on these people, and then they started to fire some of those people. And I mean, just from the trailer itself, I didn't like where the trailer was going. It was a little bit... Exactly.
Sorry, I was muted there. It was very weird. It was very disturbing. That trailer did not appeal to me at all.
Yeah.
I get that I get it's a vampire game, but it was, holy hell, was that a messed up. It didn't appeal. But what are the chances that, like you said, and many people in the chat are saying that the story and the lore were looking pretty messed up. What are the chances that that Hardsuit Labs got canned because they made a mess of it, and that the publisher is now bringing in somebody else to fix it? What maybe it got Kathleen Kennedy'd, and then they're trying to avoid a Star Wars situation.
I hope so. Like I said, that's probably our best. That's probably the absolute best thing that could come out of this is a revamping. But this also means that we're looking at probably another year and a half to just to get like if you're gonna have to rewrite a bunch of stuff, the rewriting of stuff, the going through the changing of the, like say you have a world and it's fairly open world and all you have to really do is like change the quests, right? The quests and a bunch of the dialogue and stuff like that. That means you also have to change the animation. You also have to redo a whole bunch of scenes, which means that you have to you have to go in and see if you can rebuild some of the conversation tech that you have in the game. That's probably on the table too, which means you're going back to the drawing board, and that's just to get people organized, actors and stuff like that, just to get them like to go through it and do a good job of like picking out good ones, and then checking out who you want and checking out who's going to be good for what roles, and then arranging their times, and then having them come in and having them do proper acting, and preferably having a couple of them who are doing scenes together be in the same booth at the same time doing multiple recording. It just makes the most amount of sense, and it's the best thing to do. Just to organize all that in today's current day and age with all the problems that's currently going on, I suspect that it's going to at least tack on 2 years. And so I don't think we're going to see this game until 2023, which sucks because then we're already pushing into like the early, new gen tech games coming out at that point. And
yeah, that's brutal. That's brutal. Moon, you sounded like you wanted to pitch something in a minute ago. Did you have some thoughts about this?
I think that might have been my voice hitting her microphone.
Yeah, there was a little feedback there, but no, there was a comment from the Islington girl that I enjoyed, where she commented, "The whole setting, from what I read as a person with some knowledge of the lore, is total gobbledygook."
Gobbledygook.
Yeah, and I heard that like after the core people left the team, like Chris and whatnot. I heard that it just started to go downhill real quick. So,
All right, well that's too bad. This was definitely a highly anticipated game. Very unfortunate. Poll for the chat and for you too: if vampires and Vikings got in a fight, who would win?
Oh, Vikings, obviously.
Vikings would win? Okay, defend.
Defend what?
Defend your... Why would the Vikings win?
Oh, well, first of all, they got Thor on their side. So, I mean, like...
No. Well, okay. I guess if it's a world...
Not only that is they're all using axes, which I don't know if you know this, but axes are made out, they typically have a big long metal stick on them. Or sorry, a big long wooden stick on them. And those sticks can turn into stabby stakes very, very quickly. And also, you have a higher majority of fighters, because both the men and the women are also fighting. And so yeah, that's just like in most vampire scenarios, the vampire is going to come floating over to the window late at night, going, "You will love me, pretty maiden, come here. Oh yes, I'm going to seduce you with my glowy skin and sparkling presence." And she's going to be like, "Oi, what's that?" She's going to break her axe over her knee and just stab him with the wooden stake repeatedly. And he's like, "Oh my goodness, what's going on?" And she's like, "Shield maiden, biatch." And that's how that's going to go.
Kisuke says, but what about Vampire Vikings? Well, there you go.
This is true.
Good question. Anyway, if you look at the games industry right now, the Vikings are definitely winning. So Vampire the Masquerade, of course, in a very bad place, but man, is Valheim just rocking it right now. So comment from the Frag Chef on Twitch. Welcome. Says Valheim is looking like it has some promise. I definitely agree. This is not these kinds of sandbox building games, as I've said previously, not typically my cup of tea, but Valheim looks really cool. I want to try it, and I know some in our community have been playing it. There's been talk about potentially setting up a persistent server. Do they have persistent servers?
Well, you could, I think, and I'm going to get into it here this week. We've been, I'm slowly on the road to recovery. My voice is much, much better.
You
My
sound
face
way
is
better,
doing-
yeah.
Yeah, my face is doing much better. I don't have to manually close my eye every minute now. I can actually blink. So that's an improvement. I mean, anytime that you're not risking your eye falling out of your head. I mean, that's a great thing. It's super awesome. I love being in a total mess. But no, I think we're going to try and get into that a little bit. Moon and I have been very, very busy doing some stuff. Lots and lots of stuff. So yeah, hopefully
that sounds,
we'll
I
update
think,
you guys
way
on
more
that.
suggestive than you intended it, but okay.
Yeah, we're there's moving stuff and it's been a lot of like hard work and a lot of late days staying up and stuff. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And the weather hasn't been helping at all. It was minus 50 here the other day. So yeah, it's no fun doing stuff like that. But now it's a little bit better. So
It's better. Yes.
Well, Valheim has been breaking some records, and this week it almost hit, as you can see on the screen here. I can't highlight it because it's a graphic, but almost hit 500,000 concurrent players, and it's of course sold over 3 million copies, which is pretty darn good for a game from a studio of that size in early access. And so it has just recently surpassed Terraria, Fallout 4, Life is Strange 2, Among Us, and Postal for that fifth place spot for the top records for peak concurrent players. So like these are the games that hold the records for the most players that were ever playing that game all at the same time. Still hasn't caught Cyberpunk 2077 yet, or Dota 2, Counter-Strike Go, or PUBG had 3.2 million players at the same time. It's insane.
About 300,000 of those were bots, though. So
it's still almost 3 million. So and that was in January of 2018. So ways to go to catch PUBG. But anyway, Islington Girl says, "What are V-Bucks?" We will explain. That one's that's a funny story. So I also am proud for our Viking brethren who have launched they're barely, what is it? The Iron Age that we're looking at here. They're barely into the Iron Age, but they're already looking at. They've got their eyes to the horizon and are trying to reach the outer reaches of Earth's atmosphere and outer space. And we see here some rare footage of a Viking just doing just that. And there he goes. Yep. And he died. That's unfortunate. Rip. Send some flowers to that brave astronaut's family.
F in the comments.
F's in the chat. Yeah, F's in the comments. I don't know why this is a news story. The Valheim community is trying to yeet themselves into orbit. Must have been a slow news day, but okay, whatever. I mean, I'm glad I came across it because it's very entertaining. So,
All right.
You are listening to the Augmented Reality Podcast midweek edition. Lots more stories to come and some funny ones, some more funny ones. So definitely stick around for all of that. I'm glad for everyone who's joining us live here on this. It's those of you, and I know a lot of you are in North America, so it's pretty late for you. So thank you for joining us. If you're joining us after the fact on Wednesday or any other time, thank you as well. Don't forget to slam that like button. Likes it rough, as Moon said at the beginning there. Leave your comments down below if you're watching after the fact, and if you are listening on one of our audio-only platforms that this podcast goes to, definitely find the link in the description and check out the Triple S League YouTube channel and also the Triple S Podcasts channel where we do live content like this. And if you're listening on Twitch, definitely appreciate having you there as well. All right. And also just want to shout out to Robin, one of our Australian listeners who is also one of our patrons, and was looking forward to having the show tonight on this time slot, which was much easier to listen to in Australia, but wound up having to miss it for having to go in for some medical tests. Actually, I don't know if I should have. I don't know if I should share this actually, but anyway, whatever's. Anyway, I just wanted to say, hope everything's all right, and that you can join us soon. So, something medically going on. Might be nothing. Might be just one of those routine things you have to do.
Let's hope it's nothing, because right now everything's going to literal craziness. I mean, I am literally out of. Well, I'm not out of. I still got the total apocalypse. Time to grab your your anti-zombie vehicle. That you've been preparing with the chainsaw slits in the side of the car and the what do they call those things on the front of the that you use to clear
it's like
bodies out of the it's you got one of those giant like it looks like a snow blower in the front with the big metal slicey dicey thingies and
like a plow.
Yeah, sort of like not like a bladed plow,
but it's like one of those angled things. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, see them.
No, not one of the angled things. That just moves the snow, or in this case, the zombies out of the way. You want the one that chews them up and then puts them out through a spout that goes off to the side. That's what you want. One of those big, gigantic snow-eating machines.
That seems like that would slow you down a lot. But I mean, okay, whatever.
Well, I mean, it's just that when you're guarding your base, you don't want to just be pushing the zombies.
Oh yeah. If you're patrolling and you want to, take out the zombie eating, the zombie eating vehicles for sure.
Turn them to a giant industrial wood chipper.
So yes, it's a giant wood chipper. But seriously, like things are just I'm seeing stuff now that I knew was coming for the most part, but it still shocks me that it's happening, and it's I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, let's try to stay upbeat, but yes, I mean, I think it's definitely, it's been 2020 was a hard year. 2021, I still feel like it's going to be a better year, but there is a lot of
it's going to be a lot worse.
Well, it depends depends what. That's what people want to hear. Zoe.
Yeah. Sorry, I mean, I can't. I literally can't lie when it comes to stuff like this. It's going to be a horrendous year full of nightmares, and we're just getting started.
I'm gonna mute you if you don't shut up. Zoe Moonlight says they should add vampires to Valheim. That would be cool. A vampire mode in Valheim. By the way, welcome. Don't recognize your username if you're new to the podcast. Welcome. Glad to have you here. So, I need to change the title of today's podcast. We were going to report on a story about how Google just seemed completely unable to fix its own Switch game, Journey to the Savage Planet, or Switch game, Stadia game. I got Switch on the brain from that Nintendo video I did earlier. So the Stadia game, Journey to the Savage Planet, people were, it had some serious bugs, and people were putting in bug reports to the publisher 505 Studios, and they were like, well, we have nothing to do with that. Stadia is publishing it on their own platform, but Stadia had just canned all of their own game studios, and lots of people left the development studio, Typhoon Studios, and so it was looking like they just didn't know how to fix it or didn't have anyone to fix it. That's been updated now, though. Google has now patched Journey to the Savage Planet, even though the studio is no more. I don't know who did the fix, but apparently they've apparently fixed that now, so they are able to fix their games. It's still kind of a train wreck, though.
Well, I mean, yes. So this whole Stadia thing is a train wreck. They're getting out of it. We're gonna see Google get out of this because, again, I don't understand why. I don't understand how a $1 billion company messes up everything this much, and then how they give up so quickly. Oh, we created a product and it didn't make us $5.3 billion in its first weekend. Well, that's a total failure. Throw everything in the garbage, bury the bodies, burn the place down on our way out. guess we're going to Mars now. We're going to Mars, guys. Like, how do you think like that? Like, oh, only made like a profit of $1.3 billion instead of 5.5. Well, that's useless. It's like, I remember this old skit from this old TV show that used to be on up here, where like this guy, it's these two bankers, and this guy comes in and he's like, sir, our final numbers are in for the year, and I don't know how to put this, sir. We didn't break $2 billion in profit. He's like, how much are we off by? $50? $50? Well, what are we going to do about this if we don't break 2 billion? I mean, we're going to be in some serious problems. And then the guy's like, well, maybe if you could take $50 out of your personal account and move it over, we could break the 2 billion mark. And the guy's like, what? I can't do that. That's my money. I can't give that up. Well, your salary is like, 10 times that of basically everybody else at the at the bank all put together. Well, that's absolutely unacceptable. And this old lady breaks into the room and she's like, you guys overcharged me. And they look at her finances and they're like, oh, sir, look, we could charge her an extra $50 fee. And then they basically, these two rich billionaire bankers break down this little old lady until she gives them $50 from her like fixed income, and storms out, and then they start celebrating. It's like I literally feel that this is what's going on at Google at some days, actually most days. Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
You're sure you're describing Google there? You're not describing some other. Never mind. Yeah, it's kind of a disaster. And if they do go to the moon, I mean, I'm just picturing them, or not moon, but to Mars. If they do go to Mars, I'm picturing them arriving there after 30 years late and $1 trillion over budget, and the first astronaut gets out on Mars and is like, oh, hey, sup, Elon. Yeah, so anyway, Google's also being hit with a class action lawsuit over Stadia's 4K gaming claims and ID Software. Sorry, I always get yelled at for that. I've been calling it ID Software since I was a kid, so you gotta forgive me. It's a hard habit to break. id Software and Bungie are also being sued because apparently they were wrapped up in this by saying their games would run in 4K on Stadia. You see here the Doom announcement. So anyway, I don't know how much anybody cares about this, but Google's just Stadia's it's circling the drain. It's absolutely circling the drain. Islington Girl says, I'm so tired of Mars. Can't we just fix crap here? No, we can't. No, we can't. Haven't you heard? Yeah, Earth is pretty much screwed. We need to find a new place. So it's probably cheaper, easier, and less stressful to go terraform Mars than to fix the Earth at this point. I'm, of course, being somewhat hyperbolic, but anyway. All right.
Do you have the PS or the PlayStation news ready?
Which one? I've got this one about the more PlayStation games are coming to PC, starting with Days Gone. Yeah. Yes, so more games, more PlayStation quote unquote exclusives are coming to PC. Now we had another PlayStation story about censorship, but you may have heard it out there. We're not convinced that the info is actually reliable. We were going to talk about it today, but I don't know. There's just not enough certainty.
Is Sony going to be censoring more and more stuff? Of course it is. Mm-hmm. But if you don't understand that, like, where have you been for the last 5 years?
Well, of course they are censoring stuff, but the specific information that was being reported, we were a little skeptical of.
Yeah. Anyways. So I said this a while ago that we were going to see a lot more games coming to PC and probably cozying up to Epic. We still don't know. I don't know if that's changed now because that deal may not necessarily be as solid right now, just due to the fact that Epic's been doing some crazy stuff lately. But yeah, more Sony games are going to be coming to PC. they realize that they're in trouble right now. They're certainly in trouble in certain parts of the world right now, where their sales for consoles are down, 80% of where they were for the previous consoles. So that's not good for them. Like that is definitely not good. There are places in the world where there are, I mean, here you can't keep a PlayStation on the shelf for more than 5 minutes. But in other places in the world, they have like warehouses full of this stuff that, of course, is region locked, so they can't, move those units to another place in the world because they're region locked for some odd reason. Why you would region lock a console ever is, again, I don't understand these companies. They're like, how can we screw over our customers, the most? I remember when somebody like they went to Japan for a semester, and they got there and they're like, why isn't my PlayStation working? Like and they were informed that, oh, well, it's region locked, so it's going to auto detect where you are in the world, and if you're anywhere other than where you bought it, then it's just not going to run. It's just going to brick itself, and then you're just not going to have the ability to play any video games on it until you get back to, again, where you bought it from. How that is allowed to happen is completely beyond me. I really don't understand.
That's that is utterly
seriously messed up. But at any rate,
there's a comment from Dragos in the chat saying region locking equals hardware profits for the local area.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but really, if everyone's going to try and ship their console from overseas because that's cheaper than buying it locally, then you're just charging too damn much. I mean, come on.
Yeah, there are some serious problems that you have with your marketing company if you can't figure out a way to deal with that. But then again, we've seen them utterly fail this launch, so that's that is quite possibly quite normal at this point. Yeah.
Can you really be that surprised?
Yeah.
So I would say right now that basically, like, this is probably going to be a move that's going to start to ramp up once they see how much money they're making on PC. It's going to be harder and harder and harder for them to convince their board that it's not a good permanent solution or idea. Now we'll always see exclusives. Like we're always going to see exclusives, but the fact is that they're going to start doing this more often. And again, I called this, what was it, over a year ago now? This was going to be the new wave of gaming. We're going to see more and more PC focus, and then things that resemble kind of more or less PCs, right? Like there's still a lot of like there is a future for streaming games. Now it has been set back mightily by this whole Stadia fiasco, but we are going to start to see a little bit more of it down the road. But people understand now that when you're streaming a game, you don't own that game. Like if you want to fix that game, if you want to have a bug fix for that game, and you as a modder can do it, or a modder, or you're on a site with these mods, and they can fix that program for somebody who's got a physical copy of that on their desktop locally, they can fix that, but they can't fix this stuff. So again, this it gets even worse now than what it was with the whole console thing. But now with this whole, like, you don't technically own anything, and at the switch of a button, your entire account and all your stuff is just vanished, and you can't even play it offline. Like that is a serious concern. So yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen in the future with these companies. But yeah, we're seeing more of them move onto PC and PC like stuff, because it's just the better way of doing it. It really is just the better way of doing it, and you don't even need a really expensive machine to run some of these games now. So yeah, thank God for Steam. Thank God for option.
Yeah, I mean, digital distribution still has some of those issues, but it's better than subscribing to a streaming service, unless you just absolutely don't care about owning, having that in an account, having that in your personal library. Like I can still get, I can go back and I can download games I bought 10 years ago on Steam and just play them.
And again, I don't hate consoles, and I certainly don't hate the people who play consoles. I just think that for a very long time now, and Microsoft was the chief, problem with this through the last generation. Like, they were the biggest problem starting when they did their initial announcement, and then for the next like 6 years after that, it was the worst possible thing that you could do to your brand, to gamers in general. And now we see that PlayStation's moving that way, and it just and Nintendo's always been a little bit that way with the way that they do their price handling and stuff like that. And it really sucks, and it's not fair to the consumers. And that's what I've been harping on all this time, is like the consumers need more power in their hands when it comes to doing this stuff, when it comes to interacting with their hardware, with their software, with their rights as players. And so I want and I hope to see more of this stuff on PC. I hope and I want to see more modding, more player control over something. Again, if you buy a work of art and you go home and you want to add a tree to the picture, if it was a painting, you have every right to do that. If you want to take a record and beatbox it, again, that should be your right. I really think that this is the future, and I think that people who are against it are I don't think it's a healthy concept. I really don't, because basically you're just giving power to giant corporations and saying, yes, please control everything I do. And I think that's the last thing we want to do. Yeah, Blu-ray. Oh, that was a flash in the pan, huh?
Right?
Oh,
not as much as HD DVDs were, but Blu-rays were around for quite a while, though.
Yeah, well, like a decade, essentially. Like they had
drop in the pan.
Yeah, in comparative technology, that's a drop in the pan. And again, I want a physical library of my of shows and stuff like that, and I am a little concerned that I don't get it. But what I've discovered, the longer I live, is that the less I actually go back to old TV shows. Yes. The less I actually care about TV, and the more I care about interactive media. So I like my video games, and I think that's really where the future is. And Moon and I are starting to get into a lot of indies and stuff like that. We're having fun with those, and I think that's where again, that's where the future is, and that's where stuff is going to come out. These are like indies that aren't officially out. Some of them aren't officially out yet. So,
all right then.
Yes.
All right, now for the the crazy news of the week. What would I call this? The stories that will make you say, "Am I awake, or did I fall asleep during the podcast and now I'm dreaming that these stories are happening because they seem so absurd?" But no, I can tell you that this is actually real. So Epic Games there was a class action lawsuit that took place because of the loot boxes that were present in the what would you call it? The Horde version, the Horde mode of Fortnite. Remember back when Fortnite was a zombie game? Where you would build stuff and you'd have to build a fort and then defend it against hordes of mobs that would come out of the storm. It was that's how Fortnite started before the Battle Royale. Anyway, they had their llamas, which were essentially loot boxes. So now they're trying to settle this class action lawsuit that took place, and they're doing it by paying out V-Bucks. They're literally settling a lawsuit with pretend money.
Money that they can just print. I mean, it's not even Bitcoin. This is literally just like if they wanted to print 1 billion V-Bucks and give it to one person, they could literally do that at the snap of a finger. There is nothing that you can't trade it. You can't you in most cases you can't sell it. So you're just sitting there and you're just like, oh yeah, we could do anything we want at the press of a button and create this currency, and it's just so amazing and blah.
Mm-hmm. Anybody who purchased a randomized loot box prior to their discontinuation, remember we covered that story, that they were no longer. So this story it gets sillier and sillier because Epic announced that they were no longer going to do randomized loot llamas in Fortnite, and now instead, it's still a randomized loot llama, but you can see what's inside it before you buy it. That was their solution. But anyway, now anyone who purchased a randomized loot box prior to its discontinuation will be given 1,000 V-Bucks, and this Islington girl and others are asking, what's a V-Buck? That was just the in-game currency of Fortnite's Horde mode. Do they use V-Bucks in the Battle Royale?
Yes, they used V-Bucks. You could spend thousands of dollars in Epic by buying stuff they have in their store, by buying their stupid battle passes, and then the boost to the battle passes, and then the other special sales that come up. And yes, so you use the V-Bucks on both versions of the game, and you can spend an almost unlimited amount of it trying to unlock absolutely everything in the game.
Yeah. And so anyway, it's literally pretend money. And if you did purchase a randomized loot box prior to discontinuation, you can get your 1,000 V-Bucks, which is worth roughly $8.
Oh wow!
Go figure. This, not only are they paying out a pittance, I mean, compared to what Epic is actually worth and what Fortnite has actually made, they're not even paying it out in money. They're paying it out in their pretend money in-game currency. Now
that means they're giving it back to themselves, essentially.
Yeah, because it just stimulates more buying, and they know that this happens. Like, they know that when they give out, if you have a game and you suddenly give out like, hey guys, we're going to give you guys equivalent of like $15 worth of in-game microtransaction money, that you will suddenly find yourself with people suddenly paying more money on top of it because, oh wow, I got $15 worth, and oh man, I just need $20 worth to get this super pack with this super cool skin on it. Well, I mean, I'll just go ahead and spend an extra $5 on this.
How is this even legal? Asks Zoe. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it's subject to some sort of approval, and it's a settlement. It's not like I don't think it was like the court saying you have to pay out this much, and then Epic was like, "We'll do it in V-Bucks." Like, I don't. It may also
be on top, right? So like,
well, it says
this will be on. Like, they might be giving this out to everybody, and then the $26 million they'll have to actually
it says they
provide that in cash.
It also so the settlement also includes another $26 million in benefits, but that's pocket change. I don't know how many people how many Fortnite players are there?
Well, from what I heard, the people that had signed up to the class action lawsuit are going to get like $11 or $12 back, and then of course the lawyers who did the all the fighting, they're gonna walk away with like 12 million, something like that, in their personal pockets. But hey, at least the class action lawsuit was a success, and they get to stick it to the man and get their $11 back from the company. Even though in some cases these people got roped into spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on this stuff. So it's just really, it's so sad. I mean, it literally is. It's so, so sad.
Yeah. So the proposed settlement, so I guess it's not been finalized yet, but it also provides up to $26.4 million in additional cash and other benefits for Fortnite and Rocket League players to resolve claims arising from players' loot box purchases. So that, again, sounds like a lot of that is going to be in-game stuff too. This pool includes both sides' attorney's fees. So there you go. And just when you thought you couldn't have a crazier story, here's a crazier story. So that there's apparently been a rise in carjackings in Chicago, Illinois. And one state representative has the solution. Let's ban Grand Theft Auto. That'll stop it. Genius. This one's just so ridiculous I can't even believe it.
Wow.
With carjackings rising, Representative Marcus Evans wants to prohibit the sale of violent video games promoting criminal activity. I can't even read this with a straight face.
Because that's what's causing the uptick in crime.
Also,
is people playing a 12-year-old game. No, it's not that old. But people playing a game that has been out for years upon years upon years upon years. That's what's causing the recent uptick in crime. Not like, all of the stuff happening recently. Not people being like literally stuffed into small, tiny, houses for we're what 48 weeks into the 2-week slow what was it, flatten the curve. The 2 weeks turned into, or is it 48 weeks? I can't remember now. It's at this point it's insanity. That's what's causing the crime is Grand Theft Auto. Sure.
So Marcus Evans Jr. wants to amend a 2012 law preventing some video games from being sold to minors. So this is I guess you can't sell like adult rated games to people under whatever, age of majority, that kind of thing. But
which is, by the way, a rule of thumb that GameStop already has.
Well, there you go.
You can't go in and buy Grand Theft Auto from GameStop if you're under 18. Because they have a rule that says they don't sell it. And I've been in, this is funny because this has happened many, many places. I've seen many people with this story, and I myself have personally seen the story. Being in the GameStop where a mom and a 12, 8, 9-year-old kid comes in, picks up Grand Theft Auto, takes it over the thing and says, I want this. And the guy looks up at the mom and says, you know that there's graphic violence in here, and that there's there's sexual content, there's extreme violence, there's murder. And the lady goes, I don't care what you say. My boy can play whatever he wants to play, blah, 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 blah. And then that same lady comes in the next day or 4 hours later and returns the game, and they go, so what went wrong? Oh, well, I watched my son hire a hooker, go in, bang it out, come out, beat her with a baseball bat, then drive over her with a car, then stole her money. And I say, why did you do that? And he goes, she don't need that money, she dead. It's like, why? What kind of parent are you?
Very true. Yeah, like why are parents letting their kids? But anyway, I mean, so some games are already banned from being sold to minors, but this representative filed this new bill, which what
a useless politician.
He would amend
what a useless politician.
He would amend the law to ban the sale to anyone of video games depicting psychological harm, including motor vehicle theft with a driver or passenger present. Okay, so he wants to ban that throughout his entire state. So of course that would
like, you literally have anything, and you could literally do anything to make millions of people's lives better. You could propose any number of laws and do anything to actually help people in a serious traumatic problems right now. But he comes up with this. What a useless politician.
We haven't even gone to the best part yet. Evans, so this wasn't his idea to begin with. Evans had been contacted in January by Early Walker, who started Operation Safe Pump to prevent carjackings at gas stations and shopping centers. Safe Pump positions security guards, so they put security people where there's in areas where there's high numbers of carjackings. So apparently that didn't work well enough, so let's ban the video games. The bill would prohibit the sale of some of these games that promote the activities we're suffering from in our communities, Evans said. Okay, I mean, we all know that, carjacking wasn't a thing before GTA came out, right? Nobody stole cars before that. Nobody stole cars. Nobody carjacked. What's that?
Apparently, it's like the game wasn't inspired from anything.
Yeah. So, anyway, I mean, I would. I hear they've got a problem with kids stomping and smashing and killing turtles and then stripping the ground of mushrooms as well. We better ban Mario Brothers. Walker, so this is the guy that started the Operation Safe Pump. He reached out to several state legislators to ban the video game after noticing similarities in local incidents of carjackings and actions players can make in the game. This is some rando who saw, he must have seen, I mean, was he playing it? Who knows? I don't know. Maybe he watched it on YouTube and was like, that carjacking looks similar to that carjacking that happened over there. This is one that happened in real life. In the game they used, he opened the door and pulled the person out and drove away in the car. And then this real life carjacking, he opened the door and pulled the person out and drove away in the car. It's a connection. This is clearly the reason why this is happening. I feel like this game has become a huge issue in the spectrum, Walker said. When you compare the two, you see harsh similarities as it relates to these carjackings. How many ways are there to carjack a car? You get the driver out of the seat, and then you drive away in the car. That's what a carjacking is. Good. I can't, my brain is not comprehending the stupid right now. I need,
Islington girl in the chat says, wait till he hears about the Saints Row franchise.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is so ridiculous. I can't even comprehend it.
And don't ban Stardew Valley unless you're suffering from farming in your community.
We have an overabundance of people planting crops. We better do something about this. Oh my goodness. I don't even know where to go from there. This is so ridiculous that yeah. I mean, uptick in carjackings, I'm glad that...
Do you think giving them video games would distract them from doing it in real life? That's where my logic would go.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think I've milked that one as far as it can go, but it's they have nothing better to do. There's nothing more that Chicago needs right now than to ban video games. There's nobody, it seems nobody in government looks at the actual research that's been done and the fact that there's been no connection established between video games and aggressive behavior of any type, whether it's jacking cars or whatever. They used to worry that games were going to make kids go shoot up schools. No connections there. The actual research is showing it's just not there. It's just not there. So do we believe in research and stuff, or do we not?
Right.
Yeah. So it's okay. So as Keyscape points out, the thing that normalizes killing in games doesn't actually translate over into real life. No, it doesn't. We are aware that this is fantasy. I've done things in video games that I couldn't even consider in real life. Real life blood and gore. I had a friend. I was with a friend who broke his arm once, and just seeing his bone bent in this weird position made me sick. I could play Doom just fine, but
That
you know,
disconnect.
because your brain, you know when it's not real, and if you don't know that it's not real, there's probably something wrong up there anyway, and that should probably be addressed, right? That's my thinking. Anyway, so
even in like some shows where like it sounds or seems a little too realistic, I get the wiggies.
do you?
I'm just like, ugh, yeah, a little bit. Like I'm good with like Zatoichi. I remember watching that and being like, whoa, cool, or like anime stuff, totally fine. It was like live action, like close to realistic, gory stuff. I can't handle that too good.
And I can respect that. There was one zombie movie I watched where I had to look away at one point because it was just too much. But it was in general, like, it's actually like video games are a way for people to kind of reduce stress and reduce their aggressive tendencies, or like,
and like expose themselves voluntarily to the thing that they find freaky. Like even though I say like I'm not so good with that gory stuff, like I want to play horror games.
Yeah.
I like spooky and like scary things, like the dark side of things. So it's like it's very interesting for me. So it's like even like what that Layers of Fear game. Oh my gosh, like I can't play that by myself. For heaven's sake, I can't play that by myself. Even with all the lights on, I can't play it by myself. But I will play it with a group. Totally. Like if I at least have one other person with me, I'm good. But like that's like where I find like a lot of fun in it, right? It's like get freaked out together.
I highly enjoy I enjoy watching people play horror games. I don't particularly enjoy playing them myself, but I do enjoy watching people play them.
Watching.
All right.
Yeah. I horror games are always like I'm far too analytical for most horror games. I'm usually like, that person's battery has been running for like 8 hours now. I'm sure that it's probably dead because I am positive they didn't fully charge it right before they got out of their vehicle and ran into the woods after that guy hit them on the vehicle on the way in. And why would they do that anyway? I mean, the vehicle's like this 2-ton giant weapon of mass destruction when used in a proper scenario, and the dude has a hook on his hand. I mean, really, why would you do that? Like hit him again? I mean, I'm just saying, hit me, giant guy coming out of thing with a hook on his hand, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you, and you hit him. It's like, just back the car up and do it again. I'm just saying. But yeah, it's like I could never understand the Friday the 13th ones with who's the dude with the razors for fingers. I could never understand the concept of that. Yeah, Freddy Krueger.
Freddy Krueger, yeah.
Could never understand the concept for it, and I could never wrap my head around the like why people would be afraid of that. I understand in like rough sort of stuff, but like just from how I personally exist, it's like
if he hugs you, he's going to cut you. That's what's so scary. He just wants a friend. Yeah. So weird. I did find the Rick and Morty version of that thing to be incredibly hilarious. That was the episode. That was great. That's the one I was picturing.
Yeah, that was the one that sold me on the show. Just because it mocked the base concept of the show like brutally enough that I was like, I like you. You're good. Yes, I agree. It's good stuff.
All right, folks. We done?
I think so, yeah.
We I guess that's all there. Sorry, distracted by something over here. I guess we'll go into the outro, but thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. I hope this time works for a lot of you. I was glad to see so many people were able to make it live and are active in the live chat. Glad you could join us. And for those of you who are listening after the fact on Wednesday or beyond, we appreciate you being here as well, and hope that this gives you a laugh and also your dose of gaming news for the midweek. Next podcast, Saturday at regular time. Check the check the Discord server for the schedule channel there, where we have the times linked for both of our weekly live streams for this podcast. And we have the times listed there, but if you're not sure how to translate it into your own time zone, there's a link that you can click that'll take you to a website that'll tell you exactly, like, it'll detect your local time and it'll tell you exactly when the next show is going to be. So check that out.
Unless you're running a thing that.
Oh, if you're running a VPN or something, it'll detect. Yeah. If you're running a VPN, that'll mess that up. But if not, then you'll be it'll tell you where it is, when it is in your local time. Thank you to our Patreon supporters and channel members. We really appreciate you during this time of transition. This new channel is not monetized yet. We will hopefully get there at some point. But our Big Damn Heroes on Patreon and our channel members, whose names you saw several times in the new, appearing in gold in the new marquee that appeared on the top of the screen. We really appreciate all of you folks very much. Patreon.com/the League if you are interested in becoming a member. We are going to be beefing up our member offers, our patron offers, and then also our YouTube membership offers. So, including artwork and stuff from Moontag. So, if you just keep an eye on that, if you're curious, we will let you know when we've got some of that new stuff available. Don't forget to slam that like button if you haven't already. And check out our main channel, the S League, for lots of game guides, reviews, comedy, news updates, and tons more quality gaming content. This is basically how we're going to be breaking it down. Now is edited content on the S League channel and live content here on S Podcasts. So that is the current plan for the breakdown. We're still trying to figure out exactly what the YouTube algorithm wants from us, but
it's still an experiment. It is very experimental right now. Just things are changing so fast on the platform, and so.
All right. Once again, thank you all for listening in. Thank you for joining us for today's show. Leave comments below. Like and subscribe. We will talk to you again very soon.